Welcome everyone to the Moisky News for March the 31st, 2020. Before we start, I'm streaming on Twitch tonight, Play Gink, linked below. Now, I want to talk about Brexit. I wonder how many people forgot we're supposed to be negotiating our deal in the transition phase which ends on December 31st. Because to be honest, part of me had wondered if perhaps we were going to halt negotiations, but then I realised, no, government doesn't stop because of one thing. It would take a lot more for government itself to shut down, to implement the policies and the mandates of the people. There are going to be setbacks because of the Brahma virus, but those setbacks are only that. And it is still known that the government's current position is not to seek to extend, which we'll go into soon enough. Now, the Scottish Nationalist Party believes this needs to be halted to focus our energies on the Brahma virus and not on what is 100% totally trivial, i.e. Brexit. Because as we know, it is well established, in fact, governments can't perform multiple tasks or multitask. It's not like there are secretaries for individual departments, and they don't know what they're doing without the help of Dominic Cummings, who has already shown symptoms of the Brahma virus. SNP Brexit spokeswoman MP Philippa Whitford believes that it is irresponsible to hurtle towards the deadline, and I'm going to read her quote to you. "The Brahma virus outbreak has gripped us all, regardless of politics or borders, and it is vital that the governments here in the UK and abroad work together collaboratively to combat the pandemic. It is impossible for businesses and others to prepare for life outside the EU while coping with the impact of the Brahma virus crisis at the same time, and many might struggle to survive the second blow of a hard Brexit at the end of this year. Continuing talks and hurtling towards the transition period deadline would be irresponsible and an act of economic and social self-harm. It is now vital that the UK government hits pause on all Brexit negotiations and immediately seeks an extension to the transition period to remove the uncertainty and instability." So what's the government going to do? Well, discussions between the UK and EU will continue this week, as the lockdown has no bearing on video conferences and meetings over tables that exceed 2 metres in length. These discussions will be chaired by the Grand Sneck, Michael Gove, who many believe, if Boris is unfit to perform his duties, will take over as Prime Minister for a while. A spokesperson for Number 10 has said that there will be no change to the timetable, something which I to an extent actually support. I do think there is a point when it comes to businesses preparing. If they're not running smoothly, they're not able to operate. If they can't plan and prepare, then they're in a bit of a muddle, really, aren't they? Much like the Scottish Nationalist Party, the Liberal Democrats, yes, they still exist, echo the sentiment, and the current acting leader Ed Davey, because they haven't got a leader properly yet, there is a election going on, believes that dealing with both Brexit and the Brahma virus would be a recipe for disaster, saying that the Prime Minister should seek an extension of the transition period and pause the current trade talks. Something which I can understand the position of those who think this might be the wrong time to focus on it, but at the same time, the optimism to believe we can get out of this current issue to focus on the priorities of the nation, while possibly a bit arrogant to think it could be done, is still optimistic and not a bad mentality to have. The problem with the government in this whole situation is, if they only focused on one of them, let's say they focused on the Brahma virus, they would then be accused of not doing anything about Brexit. If they only focused on Brexit, of course, then they'd be hammered for not dealing with the Brahma virus. The government has to seek to do as much as it can because they were elected to do that. They are elected to serve us, and we want this done. You thinking you know best, while understandable from experience of thinking it could possibly backfire magnificently, don't seem to realise here that everyone's going to have to suffer again because of something beyond the UK's control. I'm still astonished China's willing to lie to the world and say no new cases though. That is amusing. And as far as negotiating continuing goes, I think it's the right move. If an extension has to be sought out, then so be it at the last minute, not now. Everyone's expecting the worst rather than hoping for the best. That's the wrong mentality to have. Know it's there as an option, but don't bother exploring it unless you absolutely have to. And we're only in, about to be April. We have time. With this, I'm very much interested to know if you think the SNP are right, along with the Liberal Democrats. please do let me know in the comments down below.